We've all lived through it. For years, you were told Google Chrome was a surveillance weapon wearing a browser costume. Every click logged, every search time-stamped and sold to whoever was willing to pay for it somewhere in Silicon Valley. Your browsing history wasn't yours. It was a product, and you were the one manufacturing it for free. Then the savior showed up. Tech reviewers, privacy advocates, the whole crowd flooded your feed with the same unified message. Download Brave, not just an alternative, a digital sanctuary, a clean, blindingly fast window into the internet where nobody's watching over your shoulder and nobody's monetizing your curiosity. They didn't just sell you a browser, they sold you an identity. You were finally one of the smart ones. So what happens when the sanctuary is the trap? We're not looking at what their PR team wants you to see. We're going through raw code and default settings on a fresh install, and what's sitting in there is genuinely disturbing. Brave isn't a privacy tool. It's a monetized storefront dressed up as a rebellion. A bloated, sprawling corporate ecosystem that requires a 15-minute survival guide just to stop it from tracking you and pushing a relentless crypto agenda down your throat. You didn't escape the product matrix, you just changed masters. And your new master studied the old one very carefully. Start with the very first thing you see the moment you open the browser, the dashboard. In any application that actually respects your privacy, a new tab is blank and silent. Nothing, just a cursor waiting for you. Brave operates on a completely different philosophy. The moment you open a new window, you're greeted with a full screen, high-resolution advertisement filling every pixel of your monitor. They call them sponsored images, very polite wording for what is, without question, a corporate advertisement delivered directly to your face before you've done anything. Think about what that actually means for a second. A company that built its entire identity, its entire brand, its entire market value on the promise of blocking advertisements, decided that your private dashboard was prime real estate worth selling to sponsors. They didn't destroy the advertising industry, they just monopolized the inventory on your own screen and cut out the competition. The ads didn't disappear, they just got a new landlord. And getting rid of them isn't simple. To get a genuinely clean homepage, you can't just use the browser the way it was handed to you. You have to actively fight it. You have to dig into the customize menu, manually hunt down the corporate sponsorship toggle, and kill it. You have to hide your top sites because Brave tracks your most visited destinations by default and displays them proudly on your dashboard. Why does a privacy browser show you advertisements before you've typed a single character into the address bar? Because your attention is still the product. It was always the product. They just rebranded the auction. The sponsored backgrounds are just the surface layer. Look closely at your toolbar. Brave is pathologically, almost religiously obsessed with turning your daily browsing session into an unregulated crypto casino. Right out of the box, before you visited a single website. Langpor or creators insurers and treason size. Way treason the way push Brave rewards directly into your face. The pitch sounds almost revolutionary. You get paid just for your attention. You browse the web and earn money. Who could possibly say no to that? But sit with those words for a moment. If they're paying you in their own proprietary tokens to watch their own approved advertisements, they are, by definition, tracking your attention with precision. They are measuring your engagement. They are logging which ads you viewed, for how long and how often. They are building a behavioral profile on your habits and selling that profile to advertisers. The mechanism is identical to what Google does. The branding is the opposite. Go deeper into the hidden settings, and there's an entire dedicated tab for Web3, a proprietary crypto wallet hard-coded directly into the architecture of your browsing interface. Obscure, highly speculative protocols like ENS domains integrated into the core of the same browser you use to log into your bank account. These are features that the overwhelming majority of internet users never requested, never wanted, and will never use in their lives. Yet they're permanently embedded into the software, sitting there quietly, waiting for you to accidentally engage with them and enter the ecosystem. The monetization strategy doesn't stop at cryptocurrency. The moment big tech collectively figured out that artificial intelligence features and VPN subscriptions were the most profitable upsells of the decade, Brave immediately converted your browser into a high-pressure sales funnel with multiple conversion points. Look at your address bar on a fresh install, and you'll find Leo, their built-in AI assistant, sitting right there waiting for you. A browser that markets itself on privacy is actively, by default, nudging you to feed your most personal queries and sensitive thoughts into a corporate language model. To stop it, you have to locate the specific AI settings buried in the menu and manually purge your conversation history. Then there's the sidebar. By default, Brave clutters your screen with a large, prominent button advertising the Brave firewall and VPN service. Let's be completely direct about this. A web browser exists to render web pages. That is the entire job. It is not supposed to function as a rotating billboard for a generic paid VPN subscription that you never asked about and never agreed to be marketed to. But every single one of these icons is switched on by default, and the only way to clean it up is to play an exhausting, endless game. You right-click and hide the VPN button. You right-click and hide the AI assistant. You right-click and hide the wallet. You're spending your own time and energy cleaning up a mess that a company explicitly devoted to your privacy deliberately engineered to extract more revenue from you. Now we arrive at the real betrayal, the one buried deep enough that most users will never find it. Brave sells itself globally as the definitive anti-tracking champion. They plaster a live counter on your dashboard, showing exactly how many trackers and advertisements they've blocked on your behalf. It's satisfying to watch. It feels like protection, but if you push past the standard settings and go deep into the advanced privacy configuration, you'll find a quiet, small, easy to overlook checkbox with an innocuous name: the daily usage ping. Read that again, out of the box. This self-proclaimed champion of online privacy is establishing a connection to its own corporate servers every single day to report back on its usage. They will insist in their documentation that this ping is stripped of personally identifying data. Maybe that's even true, but the principle is shattered the moment it exists at all. Your supposedly isolated, clean digital environment is maintaining a silent, automatic, daily heartbeat back to corporate headquarters. You never agreed to that. You were never clearly told about it. Stack that on top of Brave News, which continuously tries to load a personalized content feed at the bottom of your screen, whether you engaged with it or not. Add the autocomplete suggestions that transmit your keystrokes to a search engine backend before you've even finished forming a searcher de Silverstein. This software has a deep structural fear of you going completely offline. It was engineered to stay connected. It needs your engagement. It needs your behavioral data. And it collects both quietly, by default, in a browser you installed specifically to avoid exactly that. Think you're safe because you only run Brave on your phone rather than your desktop? You're completely underestimating the scope of what's been deployed. The mobile app is infected with the exact same corporate philosophy, just compressed into a smaller screen. Install it fresh on any Android or iOS device, and you're immediately bombarded. Aggressive pop-ups demanding you sign up for Brave News appear before you've typed a single URL. You have to manually dig through the mobile display settings to locate and kill the sponsored background images all over again. The same fight you already had on desktop, repeated from scratch on a different device. You have to navigate through crowded menus to find and hide the Brave Rewards icon. You have to actively go into the notification settings to disable alerts for a VPN subscription you never purchased and never expressed interest in. And if you actually care about keeping your passwords and credentials inside a secure, dedicated password manager rather than a bloated browser with a dozen revenue streams, you have to manually locate and disable their built-in password manager yourself. Desktop or smartphone, the experience is structurally identical. You receive a heavily monetized piece of corporate software, and you are immediately forced to spend your time fighting it, screen by screen, toggle by toggle, menu by menu, just to approximate the basic level of privacy that was explicitly guaranteed to you in every advertisement that convinced you to download it in the first place. Here's the only conclusion that makes sense. If you need a 15-minute tutorial and a guided expedition through hidden menus just to disable the trackers, the advertisements, the crypto infrastructure, and the AI data collection inside a browser that has spent years marketing itself as the private alternative, then the marketing is a carefully constructed lie. Brave isn't a rebellion against big tech. It's big tech operating under a different coat of paint, with better messaging and a more sympathetic origin story. They identified that privacy was the single most profitable buzzword of the decade, and they turned it into a product funnel aimed directly at the people who were most desperate to escape that exact dynamic. Real privacy doesn't come with a 15-step opt-out checklist. Real privacy doesn't require you to manually decline 20 different corporate monetization schemes before you can open a web page in peace. Real privacy is silent by default. It doesn't need to upsell you. It doesn't need your daily ping. It doesn't need you inside its ecosystem generating revenue at every possible touchpoint. Stop trusting corporate browsers to guard your digital life. You need to take control at the infrastructure level. For genuine anonymity online, you need to host your own data using offshore, privacy-protected infrastructure like Orange website. The link is in the description below. And because algorithms are specifically designed to suppress content that exposes the practices of major corporate tech platforms, this channel operates entirely on your direct support. No advertisers, no sponsors pulling strings. Crypto addresses are below if you want to keep this going.